Hello, universe. It's me, Maker, and this is my first attempt at showing you how I create some of my work. So today I'll be making the last of the Grasscockers. Here's the one that's finished, and then you can kind of see his brethren are up here watching from above. And I tried to do some cut and uncut guys. Where's another? Here, so I had some variety, and I'll be painting them once I finish this last one. So this is what I'm going to be sculpting for you. It can go a little bit faster now that I've made a few because I kind of know what I need to do. When I first start a sculpture, it always takes longest. Here is the clay that I use. I really like it. It's a air dry clay, but it's a lot like regular clay with how you use water and stuff with it. So I really like that process. I have my tools here. These are the major tools that I use when I'm sculpting, especially these guys. And these are the other tools, a bunch of different brushes. I do have a whole collection of tools and stuff that I use if I need something special. I have my open clay in a bag that I keep moist with wet paper towels and sponges all the time. And the first thing I'm going to do is grab a nice chunk of clay, seal that back up, flip it over, and put it away. Okay. Now, as you can see, there's some super glue on this. Not super glue. There's some hot glue on him. And to try to make clay stick to these toys, I sandpaper them. Sometimes I add things to make more ridges and bumps for it to stick to. The first thing you're going to do is just place clay on this creature. Okay, so we're going to make sure you want to press it all down. We're going to cover everything that we need to cover. We want it to be a little thick because we can always take some off. Okay, and when you first start doing this is not going to seem like it's going to stick. It's a whole thing. We're going to smooth this on. I'm going to take some rounder pieces, go for his legs. Okay. Here we go. Actually, this is probably a good start. We might need more clay, but this will dry out before I use it. So I'm going to put it back in the comb for now. Okay, so once you've got the clay basically stuck on there, then you're going to start pressing it down. You're going to get your fingers wet and you're going to start rubbing it. And this kind of like, as far as I know, helps it kind of adhere. What should we do? Should we do a cut or uncut one? I think I need... Oh no, they're even. This guy's going to break the tie. I have 3 cut and 3 uncut. Yikes. Okay. So, smooth that out a little bit. There's going to be a lot of smoothing. Can you see it? Yeah, okay. Alright, so I'm going to take a big brush. A bigger brush, let's see. Maybe this guy, let's start here. And I'm going to start pulling and wiping the clay around the figure like this. And down and around, filling in all those crevices, and also trying to make... Oh gosh, he's still got a little tag. I want it to come around smoothly. Some clay is going to get moved from here to there. There we go. So, checking my recording because I don't know how my phone will do this. Never recorded something long. Okay. We want to keep it like, it has to stay, it dries relatively quickly. And so you've got to keep it wet throughout this process, or it's really not going to work for you. Okay. Now I know that I like my Grasscockers to have a bit of their hind leg showing. So see how I'm smoothing this so it'll make an even, put that in my little thing. And then on this side too, I'm going to smooth and wipe and smooth down. Just want to make that blend in as much as possible to start with. Okay, so we've got the start here. A lot of stuff to do, but here we go. Okay, so now that I've got him like this, I'm going to do a very harsh line first. And I know I'm going to need a slit up the middle, so I'm going to use my X-Acto to cut that from down there. I know I want his mouth to come back out, so I'm going to excavate that. Come out, buddy. Where'd your mouth go? There we go. Let's make him, oh gosh, let's make him uncut. No, let's make him cut. Okay. Shaped head here. There's a lot of shaping. You gotta know what you're looking for. We got that ridge, so I'm trying to figure out where I want that to be. I'm gonna push the clay around a little bit. This looks pretty good. Make that rough line again so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm gonna cut deep around there, and then I'm gonna make some follow-up lines around here. Then I'm going to make some deep lines for veins and bulginess. All of this is gonna mostly go away. This is the first step, so you don't have to think too much. You're just kind of cutting grooves into the clay. Yeah. Once I got all those guys, I kind of move around the clay. Yeah, that's all I need for him. So now that I've got the rough cuts, I'm going to take a smaller but still kind of big paintbrush, and I'm going to start widening and sculpting some of the lines. So go smooth. I think one of the things that you've got to be constantly thinking about is it from all angles. So like how this moves around the antennas and shape. So I can see that it's not even. So I'm going to move some clay up here, flatten this here, kind of rub that into shape, and I can feel from the clay getting that it needs some more water, so we're going to do that. Okay, see the rough shape? Beautiful. Now this is drying, so we're going to quickly come back here. We're going to start to rub our paintbrush into these lines. And it doesn't need to be smooth yet. We are going for smooth eventually. But right now what we're doing is making a lot of shapes and defining where we want clay and where we don't want clay. I like a nice separation between his legs and the middle, so I find myself doing a lot of cleaning up here and cutting out extra clay that I don't need. Get out. Sometimes this removal is easier once it's dry, but not if it's attached to the sculpture, so you gotta be careful. Okay, I'll put him back down. See the stuff in there. Clean all that out. know I like his leg to crease around this way. So I'm going to be making my cuts for his thigh. And when you see the toy coming through, that's okay. That tells you, you're low on clay. You're running out of sculpting depth. So either add more clay or work on what you're doing. Okay, so I'm going to switch out for the tall big guy again, just to get this all wet. There we go. Give it to lay down. You're good. There you go. Alright. You can see back here his knees are starting to dry out a little bit. This clay is very quick. Alright. Smooth. I really like to get this. The smoother it is, the easier I can see it from all angles and see if it's really becoming the shape I'm looking for. I know I want his mouth to show, so I know I need to get all the clay thinner here, so I'm just brushing kind of firmly over this layer to stretch it out. I need to make sure his legs have room, so I'm just putting that in there. I use paintbrushes for pretty much the majority of my sculpting. Okay, see that? You can squish this. And not just the brush part. The backs of these are great little rollers for getting the right creases you need. Okay. So, but he's coming together pretty fast. You can see kind of the idea here. Okay. Smooth, smooth, smooth. I constantly mess him up and then make him smooth again. Smooth, 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 smooth. You're so pretty. Yes, you are. I'm gonna knock in here with my bristles. Make some more space. I'm gonna smush this down. I'm gonna knock in here with my brush. Smush that down. Okay. You still see it? Are you still watching? Okay. Okay. So, this is a pretty good. Let's look at him from all angles. Okay, we can see his legs still need some TLC. This is a pretty good head shape, though. We're gonna crone this back a little bit. See that? Okay. Sometimes it's just best to use your fingers. Okay, so we're gonna rub that. Okay. Nice. He's looking great. He came together really fast. Okay. You don't always come together this fast. Alright. Now that I've got that, I need to make this line a bit more clean. So here we go. We use the thinner guy here, and I like to take it up in here, swish it around, bring it down, and then you gotta go on the sides because you want it to be round on both edges. Now this is pretty wet, so you have to be careful about not pulling away too much. But you just want to gently give that a curve from all angles, and then you gotta of course make sure that it's smooth and makes sense around the antennas until you get a shape that you like. I keep this part pretty simple in the Grasscocker. Here, but did you see that come to life right there? Beautiful. Okay, and I'm gonna make this neck come in a little bit more. Just slide the tool right in these spaces to make this piece that I need, this angle I need. Okay, still gotta clean this up, but I can see that this needs to come down. So I have a few of these tools, and they're really nice. I only use this one and just the pointy one. They're great for cleaning out and making somewhat more delicate, not as deep cuts if you're trying to make a line or whatever. So now I'm cleaning out all this extra here because I really like the mouth that this thing has on its own. So I'm going to clean out all this stuff. And then I'm going to come back in with my paintbrush. I'm going to smooth all that down again until I just get the clay that I need around it while still keeping his little mouth intact. And do the same thing around here. Smoothing, making sure the clay and the form that is already there kind of come together in a way that makes sense. Perfect. Okay. Once it's mostly smooth, like these little bits here are going to become disconnected and they'll be easily rubbed off. That's part of the sculpting. Once this is dry, there's like a whole nother level of sculpting and cleaning and adding details. So this is just the first part, getting the clay on. Okay, let's look at the top here. It's got to be drying a little bit. Smooth them out again. I can tell that this ridge part of the head is a little wonky. So I'm just going to smooth and push the clay around until I kind of get it in a place where it looks better to me from all angles. I don't, yeah. Let me press this down. This needs to go like that. And that needs to go like that. And I can see his head turning here needs to be more smooth and down. It's a lot of finicky little work. And then of course some of the things that you got disappear and you gotta go back in, find them. I like to just rub his head. Ooh, ooh. Okay. Good. This is good. This is good. So now, this one has an angle. I'm going to take the one that's just a point, and I'm going to go back in here and start to make some more detail lines. I like to scrunch this. I like to have like a nice scar tissue area here where the skin kind of has to stretch and move a lot. I'll do this a few times with making these like veins, but here's the first set. We're gonna, and there's no real rules. You're just gonna, each guy's different. Let's see, this guy's gonna have one coming here. And I like to morph and push it around. Be helpful. Okay. Now up around the ridge here, I've noticed these kind of lines work well. So I like to get them going up on top. And I also come down underneath on the underside of this ridge and do it again. And all this looks really choppy right now, and that's okay because we have paintbrushes. So choppy choppy. Just get those grooves in there. If you have too many, you can always take them out later. Okay, so now watch the magic. I'm gonna take this bigger guy first and start going over everything. Water starts to calm everything back down. The ridges become more of a suggestion. And we're going to keep going back. And I'm going over it pretty lightly with the paintbrush. Depending on how hard you press down, you have a totally different tool. So here's light grooves. And coming around this way, smoothing it out, pressing into any deeper cuts that I want to keep. This is down a little further than I would like. I like his back to blend into the grasshopper's back a little more. So we're gonna take some of this clay away. There we go. Get a more natural progression down. You see him? He's coming in. He's coming into shape. Get these guys on the sides here. Nice. Brush this. Still trying to get that a little bit. Okay. Alright, so at this point, I have more detailing I need to do, but now he is at the stage where he's too wet to do anything. So we're going to let him dry for a little bit before we go back in with, again, this tool and then smaller brushes. So like this is my smallest brush that I usually use, and that's going to really help us like just make some clean little details and lines and really pull out what I like and smooth in what I don't really like. I can clean out my depths a little better with my small brush. Yeah. So the one other thing that has to happen that I usually wait because it's much easier once this clay forms kind of like a skin. Like it'll still be soft inside, but the outside will form a harder surface, and that's when it's perfect to use your little stippling tool. This one's pretty small. You can see it's got us. Do you see the little dot guy? Okay. Use the second biggest one, and I'll just show you. You'll see it's harder to get an impression when it's like this because it's wet, so it kind of sticks. But once this is dry or drying, I'll be able to like tap into it and create perfect little domes, which I think make a good base gland surface. As you can see with this guy. yeah, so that'll be what I do once I give him about 15 odd minutes to dry. I'll come back in, clean him up with smaller brushes, give him his details, fix anything that looks like it's not how I want it, clean up the underside a little bit more if I need to. It looks pretty good. Just gonna go, there's a lot of cleaning up, but it'll be easier to do that once he's dried for a few minutes. And he's not as fragile. Right now, if I hold him the wrong way, I could mush him. And I don't want to do that. See, look at the nail. My nail touched it. And now he's all got a nail thing. So you gotta be really gentle. Really gentle with your Grasscocker when he's all wet, okay? Alright. So, I'm gonna put him down. There you go. This is how I make a Grasscocker. And then the more I stare at it, this is the thing, I never stop. It's so hard for me to stop. I'll just keep fiddling with a sculpture forever and ever. I have to eventually tell myself, this is, okay, that's good. Stop. Walk away. You can always do it again if you want, but this is good for this one. Yeah, so, hope that was interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. That's how I make my little guys here. If you like this video, tell me. I can make more. I've got a lot more things that I'm going to be creating. I've also got the second half of sculpting I can show you, and of course I have to paint all these grasscockers. So there's also the painting process, which I think is kind of fun, but I like all this fiddly, detaily stuff. So let me know, and thanks for watching. Okay.